Hi, folks. Welcome to Newswatch episode 5. Today we are going to watch a little video on Reddit, in our cringe TikToks. Let's watch it and then we are going to talk. Deal? Let's go. I hope the sound.
Work in my area, experience I've had, they ain't too good at what they do.
Keith Smith says most immigration workers left after the law took effect. So this potato farmer hired Americans. Problem is, he says, most show up late, work slower, and are ready to head home after lunch. Some even quit after just one day out in the field.
There's a Hispanic man that works for us, and I say, he's 52, and he'll make anywhere from $70 to $100 a day. I said, if you can keep up with him and do a good job, you can make that. But they're not physically in shape to do it, and, probably not mentally tough enough to do it, some of them.
Over on this tomato farm, the story's not much different. Brent Smith may be the only exception.
The bending over, and if you're not used to working and kneeling down and bending over and constantly up and down all day long, is the grueling part of it. It really is. I mean, other than that, it's not any harder than anything else you can do.
With a 9.9 unemployment rate, Alabama is almost 1% higher than the national average. Tomato farmers say skilled workers can make anywhere from $200 to $300 a day, but unskilled workers make much less. And farmers say many Americans are not physically fit and simply don't work fast enough.
It's just going to take body conditioning, mental conditioning, in order to earn enough money to make it worth the day's work.
All right. Now, who amongst us is surprised? Look, I come from a country town. Let's call it like this. A town that is very much dependent on farm work, where everyone works in the farms. Me, my parents had a business, a bakery, okay, and all of that, and I worked professionally as a baker, patisserie maker, all of that, okay. But there were occasions in which I wanted a little more dough, let's call it like this, in my pocket, and then I used to do small farm works. You know, picking tomato was one of them, and I just I was only able to do it 2 or 3 times because I burned very easy with the sun because it was really hot. Hard in the sense of physically hard. Picking tomatoes, you have to do it by hand. There is no machine that does it. If you do it by machine, it ruins the tomato and it ruins the plant. So you need hands that know what they are doing to pick up the tomatoes, to put them in boxes, to carry the boxes to the car, to the front of the tractor, all of that. This is one of them. The other one was cork bark that is used for a lot of the things here. And I just carried them, and it was also very hot. But all of these jobs, if you worked more, you received more. So I understand and I know how hard the life of a farmer can be. I have friends that are farmers. I have friends that are still in farming. That I sometimes talk with them. A lot of times, for example, or I'm on Google or something like that, or in other, let's call it, other means of communication, and I talk with friends, and they tell me about their lives. I did this today. And it's hard. It's not easy. Okay, it's not an easy job. Okay, and I'm the son of a baker because this body was not built on a thread on a gymnasium. It was built working hard in the baker stall. Okay, and I can value hard work. And what we are seeing, what everybody knew, is that you take out the migrant labor work, and you cannot have a farm in the United States. Even here, where in a lot of places in the country, this varies, in a lot of places in the country, there are still a lot of people that work the land. Like I told you, for example, in my hometown, there's a lot of people, families, working in the fields. There's a lot of mechanization of farming. Okay, we use modern machinery to have less staff, to not have to employ so many people. But there are specific jobs, and I know a couple of them. For example, the cork bark. It takes a specialized person to be able to remove the cork without killing the tree. For example, pine cones. Picking up pine cones with a machine kills the tree. They have to be picked by hand. Soft fruits, okay, like for example raspberries, all of that, strawberries, tomatoes, a lot of stuff, okay, greens, a lot of stuff. You need hands to do it. Wine, picking up grapes, you need hands to do it. There are some jobs, there are some jobs where you are not going to have a machine doing it. They try to do, I'll give you an example with olives. They try to use solely machines to pick olives to make olive oil. Here it goes either for olive oil or for pickled olives. They tried to do it, and they had so much bad results, so many trees that simply died with the mechanized method that they had to went back, basically sell the machines and hire people. And even here, where you still have a lot of people working the land, no, there's a lot of people here working the land, farmers and their families and people from towns and villages. It's even a seasonal work. Okay, when for example you have people that are working in other jobs, they're working, for example, in the city. I'll give you an example. I have a friend that he's a public worker. He works in the local city hall, and that when summer comes, in his vacation days, he goes and works in the fields. And he goes to pick tomatoes, cork bark, the pine cones, soft fruit, whatever, he goes and he works those days. And or in the weekends, he goes and he works. It's seasonal work. Okay, it's not a work to work in a farm means that if it's a farm that's specializing in a certain product, it works only in those it only has work for people during those periods of seasonal work. And this is what was happening in the USA. You had migrant workers, seasonal workers, that came and they did their job in the farms. The farmer was happy. The person was happy. I hope. I hope that at least they would pay them a decent pay. Okay? And the job got done. The fruit got picked. The cows got milked. And then because of this shift in American society that is not very different from shifts in other European society or other Western societies. In Europe, it also happened the same in certain areas where a significant part of the population that was working in a farm moved to other occupations, and then you got migrants to come in and work. People from Morocco, for example, they often go to Spain to work and return home. Okay, it's a job and it's good for everybody because if they are receiving their pay, if they are getting money for their job, so why not? Is this very hard to understand? And of course, in the United States, there were a lot of people that simply stayed to work in the United States, brought their families. And also, again, if those populations are going to help you work the land, to help you to produce, to help your farms, to help your farmers, then why are you complaining? You should be thankful. Again, I will tell this that I told in other occasions, in other videos. ICE is not picking up criminals. ICE is picking up hardworking people that are making America great. They are picking up the migrant farmers, people that work in farms, people that work in industries doing jobs that, for example, I only did for one day. I remember it. I just went in to fill in the job of a friend. That is in a meat factory. Okay, and I was only carrying it because of course, I did not have the expertise to cut the carcass and all of that. But it's got to be one of the most disgusting, not disgusting, hard work to do because it's the smell, it's the smell of death, it's the cold, it's the no. And you had a lot of migrants that were doing that job. You have a lot of migrants that were cleaning your streets. Hmm? You have a lot of migrants that were serving you at the restaurant. And those are exactly the people that ICE targets. And then jobs don't get done. Businesses go under. I think so far almost 400 family-owned farms in the United States have gone under. And this is just the start. Look, you have um, a set of events triggered by this simple idea of targeting migrants like if they were, I don't know, invaders or some shit like that. Look, legalize people and decide who you want to remain in your country and who you don't want to. Legalize and regulate migrant work. Regulate it. Europe has regulated it. And we have a border that is a heck of a lot bigger than yours. You basically have Mexico and Canada. And I somehow don't see migrant workers coming in from Canada. No, reach out to the Mexican government and say, look, we are going to take care of this. So from now on, Mexican workers that want to apply to migrant work here in the United States, this is the entity they go. Okay, let's regulate this to stop the coyotes in the border, to stop people dying in the Rio Grande. Let's stop all of this shit. Let's take care of it. United States does not need a wall in their southern border. Walls never work. The Chinese they built a big wall, and the Mongols just went around it. Okay, walls do not work. What does work is to have an open and frank conversation with people, and then having mechanisms like we have. For example, here you need to have your ID card, you need to have your documents when you're on the street, so that a police officer can identify you. The police, the health inspectors, the work inspectors, they are constantly going to everywhere in the country. They are divided in regions and they are constantly visiting businesses. They are seeing if those workers are legal or not. They are watching over all of that. And instead of spending money in useless walls, in useless ICE agents, You could be spending your money on that. You could control your immigration problem. That would be a way of controlling it. You could control your immigration problem. You could control your migration problem. And you could have people working and businesses moving along. But I guess that is a bit too hard and too much common sense for you to understand this. Look, this problem isn't going to go away. Those farms are going to go under. And then you are going to have to import even more food. And when you have to import more food, remember that you apply tariffs to it. So you are going to pay more and more and more for your food. And it baffles me that more people more people are not screaming from the top of their lungs, what is happening? This shit. America, please, get your act together. Okay?